Hello, this is Abby Hebert. Welcome to Abby's Open House Kids Keys Caffeinated Combo. We are here. You are here. Thank you for listening. Is it just me, or is anyone else's mental health just in the toilet right now? I don't know what it is. I came home from work yesterday and I literally just went straight to bed. I was over it. I couldn't function. I was just done. I don't know what the deal is. Today I woke up and the sunshine was out and it felt like a brand new day. Maybe a little bit of sleep. I know I've had a really bad attitude lately, and my dad actually pulled me aside the other day. We went out for lunch, and I rarely get to go out for lunch with him. And he's like, "Have you tried reading a positive book just to kind of pump you up a little bit?" So I've started reading a positive book. I've been audioing while I fold my laundry. It is called, oh man, it's 13 things something 13 about mental health. And it's been a really good read or audio. I would definitely recommend it. It's kind of been kicking my butt and getting me out of that zone. I've been trying to listen to more positive music. I always know when I'm a little bit in the toilet when I start turning on like the Taylor Swift depressing tunes. And that's just what it is. So I am trying and I'm fighting and I'm clawing, trying to get out of this rut. I'm lucky that I'm able to compartmentalize it a little bit at least. But yeah, some days are definitely easier than others. Today, we're going to talk about friendships and how I suck at them. And maybe just the struggle that hopefully I'm not the only one. But before that, we went to a Trews concert. The Trews are a Canadian band, if you don't know. They sing that song, "I'm not ready to go." You know? I'm a very good singer, obviously. Bring me to karaoke. We usually are nosebleed seat people. We don't pay the extra for close up, usually because that means that we'll be standing, and we're not standers, we're not dancers, we are there to listen to the music. We dress to fit in, at least I do. I mean, Gerald wasn't wearing a mesh shirt or anything either. I don't know why I always stress so much about what I'm going to wear to a concert. I just want to blend in. It's like multiple outfit changes, we're running late, it's a whole thing, and I get there and it's like, wow, I am definitely okay in the outfit department. There's such a wide array of options there on what people are wearing. And I feel like my jeans and black t-shirt will always be a safe bet. But it was a really good night. I was stressed all day because I worked all day Saturday. And then our concert only started at 8, which is usually settling in for the evening. So 8 o'clock was a little later than we're normally used to. And we even like went out for dinner first, and it was great. It was a really good night out. You probably have to like drag me out kicking and screaming to get me out of the house, but I'm so thankful that we went. The Trews was a band that Gerald used to go back in the old days to the bar to watch. And Kate, if you could help me, what was the bar called where Cowboys was? What was it called before then? We were trying to go over it and we just couldn't think of it. I'm sure I could Google it, but it's more fun hearing from you guys. So if you can think of that and let me know, I would love that. We skipped the opener and ended up just spending a little longer at supper. So we're usually nosebleed seat people just because we refuse to pay. And I had a friend that he had seen us at the previous concert. We were in the nosebleed last time they were in town. Texted him and we're like, "Hey, we see you, you're out on the floor and we're way up here." And so he had emailed a couple weeks before the concert and he's like, "Hey, do you want our tickets? I can't make it anymore and we're row 3." I was like, "Yeah, let's do it." We still kept our old tickets because we were worried that we'd have to stand the whole time, and if it got like too rowdy, we would like go up to the balcony back with the peasants where we were used to sitting. And the third row is a bit of a different ball game. You guys are probably way cooler than me, so you're like, "Oh yeah, the third row, that's where we always sit." Well, not us. It was so fun. It's a little bit scary because you're so close to the band. It's like you can make eye contact with them. So I was so paranoid because I feel like I'd make eye contact with the singer and it's like, crap. am I moving enough? Am I bouncing enough? Am I like, I don't know all the words to the songs. I'm someone who likes to like, I'm into it. I love being there, but I maybe like, I have a grumpy face normally. I tried to like be really expressive with my eyes where I'm like, yeah. I don't know. I was worried that I wasn't performing enough for them or like showing them that I loved them enough. I smiled a lot. I like moved a little bit to the beat. I clapped a bit. I'm just not cool enough. But we had that stress. There are so many good people to watch at a concert, especially in that area, because it's like the diehards up there. And we had an 80-year-old lady. She must have been 80, maybe a little bit older. She was in our row. And I just would have loved to have known her story. She was wearing a t-shirt with a picture of her with her arm around the bass player who is like 35, 40. I don't know. These guys are not young anymore. We were on the younger end of the spectrum at the concert, which says something. I mean, we're 42, 43. And they've been around for a while. But this woman, I want to know if she's the grandma. I want to know if she's the great aunt. She knew the words to the song. She was bopping to the beat. She stood the entire time. And it was like, if this lady can stand the whole time, so can I. So we did it. A row in front of me was, I called them in my head the Night at the Roxbury Boys. I don't know if they were a couple or if they were just buddies. They knew all the songs. There was a lot of fist bumping, a lot of high fives, and a lot of like this, like bobbing their head to the side, like where that guy on the movie like broke his window or whatever in his car. There's a lot of that. So they were super fun to watch. And then we had all of the like hardcores up front, right on the floor. There was one big cowboy guy and he had a cowboy hat and I couldn't figure out how he fit into the scene. He didn't look like he really fit in. I wondered if he was just calling it in for his wife. His wife was super into it. And then they came on with their song. It's called Highway of Heroes. And it's about someone from their old, like their hometown who had served in Afghanistan and had passed away. It was a song about them and their service. This guy, you could tell he was there for that song. And he's a big, like, man's man. And he was in tears. He was totally in tears. He had his phone up, and it. Gerald said later that his phone had a picture of a guy in camo. So I'm wondering if he lost someone in the service or had a family member that he'd lost in the service. And it was really cool because him and the lead singer had connected after, and like the guy gave a fist bump or like shook his hand or whatever and that kind of thing. So I'm really glad I went to that and experienced that. I remember during COVID, they had a song called I Want to Play. And the words to the song in the chorus are, I want to play, I want to celebrate, I want to sing along with everybody. It was about COVID and us not being able to get out and us binging all of Netflix and how we just want to get out there in that group and we want to sing with everyone and we want to be in that crowd with everyone. And I remember listening to that song on repeat during COVID, during a really low time, I think for a lot of us, and just wondering, is the world ever going to go back to normal? What is normal going to be? Are we going to ever be in a group of people again doing this? Like, there was a point where I wondered if life as we knew it was over and it wasn't happening again. And so they actually were the very first concert Gerald and I went to after some of that stuff lifted. And I believe we were in the first, or we were in the second balcony actually, because there was social distancing and we had to wear masks still in the main areas. And I remember they played that song and I just cried. And the feeling of being back in a somewhat normal setting, surrounded by people who love and can experience music and can sing that song together, was such a cool moment. I just love how music can connect all of us in such different ways. Like, we can hang out with the 80-year-old woman, the Night at the Roxbury Boys, that big burly cowboy, and us, and just all kind of connect in our own ways. That's a little catch up. Other than that, I've just been dealing with my seasonal depression in a really real way. Getting all my taxes handed in, which is like, just makes me want to go to bed just thinking about it. But it's all things we have to do and the joy of being an adult. Today, I want to talk a little bit about friendships. It's something I suck at. It's something I find incredibly hard. I'm hoping I'm not the only one, but it's something I've struggled with my entire life. I was a hairstylist for 10 years, right after kind of my high school days. And I came home from Bible college, took my hairdressing. And hairdressing, I worked mostly evenings and weekends because that's when people can get their hair done because they're at work during the day. So I worked a lot of evenings and weekends. I worked minimum 3 evenings a week, if not 4, and every Saturday. And I was volunteering with youth. So you become friends with who you're around. Like you hang out with your youth, and as they graduate out, they become your friends or the youth leaders that you're working with. I think that's just a natural progression. So it's not that you're always with people that you have stuff in common with, it's kind of who you're just naturally grouped with. Friendships were easy when I was a hairstylist because it was a lot of one-on-one time. So my friends would come to me, my clients became my friends, and that would be our time together because I didn't have a lot of evenings free because I'd be working them. So that would be my time out. And I wonder if that's what put me on this track of just not having boundaries or healthy time management and setting time aside for friends, or setting time aside where it's like work or friends. Whereas here, I find that I just overlap everything and it's all just one big mishmash of life and we're doing it all together. Not a lot of separation in my life. Eventually, I had kids. That took up all my time. At that time, my marriage was rough. I don't believe in bad mouthing the person you're with and they're your partner. I mean, that's supposed to be your partner for life, right? So I'm not going to talk to my friends about what's going wrong in my marriage. I believe that's a really private thing. I'm talking about my first marriage, by the way. I was embarrassed. You don't want to admit that things aren't going well. You don't want to admit that you're in over your head or that you need help or that there's stuff going on. You don't want the whole world to know either. You're raising kids in this community. You don't want anyone to know your issues. You don't know who to trust. And I was young, and most of my friends were my husband's friends from before because he was older than me. And that's just kind of who we migrated to. And I loved that group of friends. We were in different phases of life, of course, because most of them were older than my husband yet. When my marriage got really rough, and with my kids taking up a lot of my time when I was healthy, my anxiety took over. And any plans that I did make, even as couples, going out as couples, I would cancel. I was a canceler. I would cancel everything. We'd make plans. You know how something's like a really good idea when it's far out, and then all of a sudden it gets closer and closer, and it's like, oh, I don't want to go. I don't want to go. I just would cancel. So I feel like I was a very unreliable friend. And I know that a lot of people got really frustrated with me at that stage of my life, but I just wasn't in a healthy place. I couldn't get myself out of bed to go out and do something. I just wanted to sleep. And I think that's partly mental health. And I think that's partly just not wanting to deal with the issues that were there. So when my marriage ended, I kind of had to start out fresh, friend wise. The friends that we had were our friends, but they were his friends. You don't want to make it messy and talk about, things that are not going well, or have things get back to him, or, you kind of want to have your own safe people in your life. And also when you go through, one day we'll talk about it, but when you go through a divorce in a small town, you get a lot of instant friends who want to go for coffee and want to talk and want to pray for you and do a lot of stuff. But a lot of them just want to know the dirt, and they want to know what happened and what went wrong. And There's probably some of you listening here today that are just listening because you want to get the dirt on some of this stuff. And I hate to break it to you, but you're not going to get it here because I respect my kids too much. I'm still their mom, and that's still their dad. And we don't need the whole world to know all the dirty details. I don't want anyone knowing all the dirty details of why I sucked at being married. Not everyone needs to hear everything that went on. There's about 4 million sides to each story on everyone's marriage or their friendships or anything like that. And I think the true story is always a mix between any of those. And so, friendship wise, I kind of was stuck starting over. And that was okay. I had one set of friends where I had told her, the wife, that I needed them to stay close with my ex because he would need friends too, right? And as much as in my life he was the bad guy at that time, right? Or the cause of my hurt and my pain and that kind of stuff at that point in my life, that's how you're thinking. You need him to be good too because he is the dad to our kids. And we need to be as healthy as we can and to give these boys the best life that they possibly can have, whether we're together or not. So, hello, new friends. I read a book that was called like Single White Female Searching for BFF. And it was fiction, but it was such an interesting concept. And I decided to try it out for my life. And what she did was she took a newspaper ad or maybe online or something. And where she just said, she's like, I'm this single white female. I'm looking for a best friend. And she started just kind of interviewing new friends. So I started going on friend dates. So that was exhausting. I went on a lot of friend dates. I tried meeting new people. I tried exploring acquaintances or surface level friends that I had kind of known for a while that had never really spent much more time with than doing hair. I was starting to do real estate, so I just was trying to find a couple of people that could be my people. It was a really lonely time because I am going through a divorce. I'm raising 3 young kids. I'm starting a brand new career. I'm living in a new place. Everything was new in my life. I just turned 30. I could have really used some good friends, and to start over from scratch was pretty wild. So I went friend dating. And it's worse than dating in real life for a partner because a friend, I feel like, is a really personal thing. I wasn't looking for anything casual. I was looking for something serious. Most of the friends that I went on a one-on-one friend date with, a first friend date, I called them, most of them already knew how many brothers and sisters I had or the basics of my life and that kind of thing. So it's like you had to kind of start getting deeper, but it's like, how deep do I want to go? And how many people do I want to go deep with? Because I'm going on for sure 1, maybe 2 friend dates a week trying to get this going. And I am like an instant gratification person where it's like, okay, can we skip all this small talk and can we just like be best friends forever and share all our deepest secrets and just go from there? Because I hate small talk. But that's kind of what you have to do. And I think that's why I've just decided, like, if something happens, if Gerald dies or I don't know, something fluky happens, I am never, ever, ever dating or getting married again because how much work is that? I can't do the online thing anymore. What if they're talking to more than one person? I don't know. I don't want to hear about another person's favorite colors or what their previous trauma is and like deal with all that. I literally, after Gerald, I don't care. I just care about him. I'm just going to go with my friends, and that's going to be good enough for me. At the end of a first friend date, I would ask if I had passed, which was really awkward. There weren't a lot of second friend dates. And the second friend dates were tougher and more draining because you have to go a little bit deeper. And it's like, are we fun? Can we do something fun together? Because it felt like an interview. but I didn't know how to do it any different. And then there's the third date. Didn't make it to the third date a lot, but what do you do on the third date? So, yeah, friend dating was rough. I don't know if I found any perfect friends through my friend dating. It increased my circle though, which was really cool. And I got to know a lot of new people. I think the weird thing with the friend dating was at the end, I would always ask if I had passed, but I wasn't asking myself if it was a friendship that I wanted to continue to pursue. I was just so worried that I was going to be good enough for that friend. So I think at the time I wasn't asking myself the right questions either, where it's like, is this someone that can be a support in my life? Is this someone that I get joy from? Is this someone I want to share all of this stuff with? And so I think part of that came from just the wrong approach, maybe. Another suggestion that my counselor had given me, and it was in the book, was to find people with common interests, which makes a lot of sense to me. So I started a book club. I literally put out feelers on an Instagram story asking if anyone was interested in reading. And then I hosted a kickoff night. And it was like a just show up if you're interested and we can see who comes and we'll see if it's a hit and we'll just start doing a book club. I don't know how I had the balls to do that. That was wild. And so I remember that night, it's like, I don't know how many I'm preparing for. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know who's going to come. And we got the most random, eclectic group out ever. And there were people that showed up. I think it was totally a God thing because I feel like it was just all of us that kind of just needed a person. And I remember one of them was a family that I had gone to church with like way back in the day. They'd been missionaries. And I was like, wow, you came, you showed up. And she's still in my book club and I've been so thankful for her friendship. I just remember being floored that these people showed up with this common idea of wanting to read a book at once a month and study the book. And in the meantime, we've had some coming and going of some people, but we've kind of got our core. There's 6 of us, 6 or 7, I don't know. And they've become my people. And it became through every book. It was kind of cool because you kind of get to know each other through the discussions, right? So you talk about life circumstances, you talk about Jewish heritage. If you have Jewish heritage, when we do the World War II book, you talk about your family circumstances. When you talk about mother-daughter relationships in a book, it was just a really natural way to get to know each other and bring things a little bit deeper. Plus, if we don't have anything to talk about, there's food and wine. We don't really drink as much anymore, but in the beginning we had the wine flowing and that helped too. But we had that common love of reading, which was really cool. So we would always talk about, what other books we were into, that kind of thing. They got me through COVID. COVID was a really lonely time for me. It was just me and the boys. We included Gerald in our bubble because, he was on his own. And it was really lonely. And at the time, I think that was when one of my parents was sick as well. So I was at the hospital. Part of it, we weren't allowed to be at the hospital. It was just really brutal. And I'm sure it was a really lonely time for a lot of you. But I remember my neighbor at the time. It's funny how certain things just comfort you. And my neighbor at the time, my kitchen window faced their kitchen window. And some days when I just couldn't do it any longer, just knowing that their light was on and I wasn't alone in the world felt so good. And sometimes I would go for a drive and I would just see other lights on in people's houses and know we're not alone. I'm not alone. This is going to end sometime. So with my book club, we kind of kept it going on the chat and we did some video chat book clubs, which is not the same, but it was something. And it was a way to connect and a way to check in with each other. At Christmas, I delivered like charcuterie to all their doors, and we did like a Christmas charcuterie chalet, which I probably just ate all my meat because I'm horrible at that kind of stuff. But we found a way to support each other. And then when it was safe, we had a socially distanced bonfire, which I ended up lighting my hair on fire before they came and didn't have bangs for a little while. I still remember that smell. It was not good. My kids still make fun of me because they were with me at that time. I always wanted a best friend. I don't know about you, but like I grew up like in the books, they all have best friends, or like in elementary school, it's like you got a best friend, you know? And through my jobs, I had serial friendships where they were friendships of convenience. It was through work. So either they came to me on a regular basis when I was doing hair, or on real estate, my clients became my social outlet. So you get pretty close during a real estate transaction if you're looking for houses for a while, or you really get to know a couple and how they work, and you're hearing and you're inviting yourself into their home and into their future home, learning how their family works. And you really get close to some of those families, and some you don't, and that's okay too. But some of them you just become really close with. And those friendships kind of like they don't end, but when they find their house, they move on with their life, and I take on other clients, and then it just kind of moves on. So we check in and we try and keep in touch, but I mean, you can't stay in constant contact with everyone, right? So I feel like I have a bunch of serial friendships, and I've had the opportunity to have that bigger circle on kind of a medium level of getting to know each other, but not that best friend. I remember looking back in my journals, and I have like on my prayer journals, I prayed for a best friend forever. And I feel like it's just been skewed on what a best friend is and what a best friend could or should be. I feel as though like I've been a little bit flawed in that search for the one best friend. It's seasonal. I feel like friendships are very seasonal. I'm convinced there's something wrong with me, but also when I had young kids, when we were in preschool, those were the moms that I talked to. And then when the kids entered elementary school, those are the moms that I saw. And now I see moms at sports games. But um, it's harder for me because my time with my kids is split. So it's 50-50. Not every parent or friend understands that, because when I have my kids, I have them every Wednesday, Thursday. I don't make plans on Wednesdays and Thursdays. I am home. We are doing supper together. We are going to sports stuff together. I am not going out for coffee. Even on a weekend when we have the kids, I don't make plans that weekend with friends. I don't want to miss 1 minute with my kids. And now that they're older, they go off and do their own thing. And I think that's really healthy. And I really push that for them. I don't want them to feel like, oh, we got to be together as a family from Friday till Sunday because that's our only time. No, you're teenagers. You should go out, do your friend thing, or have your friends over. I just like leaving it open just in case they choose to hang out with me. I'm like the friend that just sits by the wall, and it's like, are you going to find someone better, or are you going to settle for me? And I think that's a lot of parents these days. It's like, please hang out with me. It's like your kids are the cool kid and you're just the person like waiting for them to choose if nothing better comes up. I'm not sure. But it's hard because I got to fit full-time parenting in half the time. So I don't have the luxury of grabbing coffee on a night that I have my kids. And not everyone would agree with that, and not everyone has to have that same view as me, but that's kind of my view. And then on the nights when I don't have the kids, that's when I try and fit in all my work. Sometimes I do work on the nights I have the kids. That my job is very seasonal, and I got to work when there's work. I don't get paid unless I sell something. That's how my evenings are split. It's kids or work pretty much. So I'm a very last minute plan maker, and it drives my friends crazy that are plan makers and need a plan and like to book things, a week or two in advance. It just doesn't work for me. And As much as I love and cherish some of those friendships, I just can't bring myself to do that at this stage in my life. The time we're given our kids is just too short for me, and I can see my time running out with the age that they are, and I'm not ready to sacrifice that yet. And I think I'm missing out on some really good friendships, but I think I would regret not having that relationship with my kids more. So that's kind of where I'm at on that. My counselor does say that it's just different phases of life and friendships do change and roll, and they're very fluid with stages of life that you're in. It's tough to be friends with friends that have kids different ages as yours. And probably one of my closer friends, we only do coffee maybe once every, she's an EA. We do it on like an off day, those continued education days or whatever. We grab lunch, and she has kids that are older than mine. And I have got so much wisdom from her, and I've been able to share with her, and we've been able to talk, and she's been such an encouragement to me in the way that I parent my kids. I've been so thankful to have a mom in a different phase of life than me. So I believe that it's possible. I just feel as though it's more natural that we have those friends in our different stages of life. And that's okay. I sometimes go dark on my friends. It's part of the reason why I'm a horrible friend. When it's busy at work or when I get overwhelmed, when it's too much, I just go dark. I don't respond to anything. I get overwhelmed. I will just sit at home and crash. I will focus on being at home. I will either be working all the time and just at full capacity. I just go dark. One of my close friends, she will check in every once in a while. She'll be like, "You okay?" And it's like, "Yeah, just gone dark." And people have noticed. The people that are close to me can notice because my social media goes pretty dark now too when it's really crazy at work. I'm trying to do better because I have an admin that will help me with that, but I'm such a control freak that I make all my, like, I do my posts. She'll do some like background graphic stuff for me, but I'm the one scheduling the posts. I'm the one communicating. I'm the one, making sure it's in my wording and being real and sharing my life. But I do have friends that they're like, "Well, yeah, I noticed you went dark on social media. I figured you were busy." And it's not fair to my friends. It's not. And I don't expect friends to stick around because I do go dark during different stages of life. And yeah, I feel like I'm explaining why I'm a bad friend and trying to excuse it, and I'm not excusing it. I'm just saying these are my struggles. I hope that some of you can relate to it, and I hope that we can just, I don't know, figure it out together or commiserate together. I'm not sure. Sometimes I'm just exhausted. Sometimes I'll give everything to one friend, and then we'll lose interest, or something will go wrong. I can't handle it, or I need to work on my mental health, or I'm not feeling connected anymore. And it just kind of ends. I have a lot of time to go for coffee and lunch when it's quieter at work, and I don't know when those busier, quieter times come. I am hoping I'm not a has-been realtor because it's been quiet for me lately, and I see a lot of other people busy, and I'm freaking out because it's like, okay, so I had a good year last year, and here we are doing nothing. But I have to keep reminding myself it just goes in phases and it can all change within 1 week. But so I've had extra time to go with friends for lunches and coffees and whatever and build in that time. And it's hard for my friends that are newer because then busy time comes and they want to keep it up. We've been doing lunch once every couple weeks. We've been doing lunch once a month. And then it's like, "Oh, I can't, sorry," or "I'll cancel," or and they don't get it. And I've hurt a lot of people, and I'm not good at explaining it. And usually I just get overwhelmed, and then I just kind of end the friendship because I'm embarrassed that I can't maintain friendships. And I'm embarrassed that I'm being selfish with work and my family. I'm not sure, but I'm not a good friend. My counselor suggested that I read the book Give and Take. I've realized that there's been a lot of giving and I haven't been taking. I've been giving a lot of energy. This was a couple years ago when I read it. I was giving a lot of energy to friendships that were not giving back. They were just taking. And it's not the friend's fault. It's like I'm the control freak that a lot of the time I don't know how to accept a take because I'm the giver. I'm supposed to be giving my time and my energy and my, any resource I have and helping and making meals for you and, all this stuff. I have trained all the people in my life that I don't need anything. I don't need help. And I've trained them so hard and trained myself to be the giver that I don't know how to ask for help and I don't know how to accept help. And so I think I've kind of sabotaged myself that way. And I don't know if you guys have ever felt that way, but some people in life are just always going to be takers. I'm paranoid that I'm a taker in some friendships. And some of my friends tell me that if I'm paranoid that I'm a taker, that means I'm probably not a taker if I'm worried about it. But sometimes capacity, we only have so much. And so I feel as though sometimes we do fail. I mean, we are human, but I don't like that idea. I hate conflict. Sometimes when there's a conflict, I will just go dark and I don't know how to fix anything. And one of my friends called me out on it once. And she was the first friend that fought back and told me we're not doing that and we're going to talk it out. And we're not allowed to end the good friendship that we had over just something that's a misunderstanding. We're going to work at it. And I was so thankful for that. I'd never had that before. And it just made me treasure that friendship so much more to know they weren't going anywhere and that I was worth being fought for. Because I'd never had that in my life. Like I didn't have that in my first marriage. And so it was a really cool feeling. The idea of a best friend might be a little bit old school, but I have found my core through my book club and through a few friendships. And I've been working on focusing my energy on them and on those that give and take and that we can take turns being there for each other. I'm slowly trying and usually failing to take off my mask and to be the same person to every single person that I spend time with, not just being that people pleaser of being who that person I'm in front of wants me to be. That's a huge struggle for me. So I'm working on that. It's exhausting, but I am working on it. And to the idea of just being my true self to someone, I feel as though it attracts the right people as well, because those are the easy people to be with. The people I can be myself with, that's not exhausting and just call it like it is and feel accepted and loved. Those are who I want to be around. And I feel like that's who you guys would want to be around too. So it's like finding those people. And it's okay. I have to realize it's okay if not everyone likes me because I don't like everyone. It's just hard for me when people don't like me. It really is. If I can't be myself to have people like me, I'm not sure they're the right ones to be in my life anyway. And that's hard. I have this quote that I tell a lot of people about it. And don't cross oceans for those who wouldn't step over a puddle for you. I sometimes ask myself, I'm doing all this work and I'm doing all this work to get this friendship, to keep this friend afloat and, bringing coffee and making the meals and picking up kids and helping out. And it's like, what would this friend do for me? And it's not always about that. I totally get that. There are opportunities for everything. But at the same time, friendships have stages. And sometimes there are giving stages and some are taking stages. But sometimes there's friendships out there that they're just always going to be a taker. And maybe that's not going to be the right fit. I was in a really low point right after our wedding, actually. I think it was just all the chaos of the wedding, spring market at work. It was a lot all at once. And nothing really changed because we did live together before we got married. But I think it was just after all the chaos was over, my mental health took a bad dive. I couldn't get out of bed. It was really bad. I remember talking to one of my closest friends at the time, and it hadn't been going well. it had become all about her for a really long time. And she's like, okay, I was overwhelmed. She's like, okay, I'm going to come pot your flowers for you. Great. I was so jacked. I was like, oh, one less thing to worry about. Awesome. So the entire time she's doing this, she's texting, what color flowers do you want? What color? What do you want to do? And it's like, it was creating more work and energy than if I had just gone and done it myself. And then she got to her house and she's like, hey, I'm here. Like, can you come help me? Whatever. And it's like, oh, frick. Like, now I got to go do this. So I remember just crying inside the house, knowing, okay, I got to go down and I got to do this and I got to go pot these flowers now because this person went and got them and they're there at my house. So I went outside, and the entire time we're potting, she's complaining about her most recent problem and her marriage problems and all this stuff. And it's like, my head is at capacity. Something in me clicked, and it's like, they're never going to give. They don't know how to give. And that's okay. But then they need to find someone that has something left to give, because I didn't at that time. And I felt really bad, but I just couldn't. Do I feel sad and do I feel like a really crappy person a lot of the time because I've lost a lot of friendships? Yeah. I have my friends that don't let me go dark, and they check in, that keep sending me memes even after I've gone dark. They text to see how my week goes. They remember the important days and they celebrate the wins. They clap for me. And those ones are easy for me to show up for as well, because I know that it's going both ways. I know that they love me no matter what. And that pressure that I put on myself to be that person for them, the pressure isn't there because it's easy and I really do care how they're doing. And I know that they love me. And if I can't be good that day, that's okay with them. They will just keep sending those memes until I'm ready to respond to them with a LOL or something else. I went out for lunch with a good friend today, and we were talking about that. We were talking about how when we're going through these hard times and we're in the dumps, it's hard to express that to people. In the summer, it had been really bad. It goes in phases, right? So I had reached out to 3 people and I said, look, I'm not doing good right now. I need your help. I need your support. And me and this friend today at lunch were talking about, it's like, when we reach out to those people though, we don't know what we need. We don't know what we want, but we need people to know that we're not doing good, because we know it's not healthy to go through it alone. It's not healthy to leave it in your head and just to not be good, but we don't know what we need. We don't know. I mean, a thing of soup left at the door isn't going to fix my mental health, but maybe then I'll know that I'm loved. But I don't want to like send a message and it's like, drop off soup at my door, please, right now. Like, I don't know what my friend will need if they have depression or if they're just going through a really rough time. I think my goal at that point would just to show up somehow in a way that won't cost them energy, or show them that they're loved in a way that works for them. I'm not sure. I'm still working on it. But it was really interesting, and it was really encouraging to know that I'm not the only one that feels like when it's bad, we reach out. We know enough to reach out, but we don't know what we need or how people to help us. And I know some friends that I have are very like literal, logical persons. Like, well, just tell me what you need and then I can do it. And it's like, I don't even have the capacity to know what I need. And I obviously don't have the balls even if I would know, and it's like, hey, can you make a snack for my grandma craft so that it's one less thing for me? I wouldn't have the balls ever to ask someone to do that for me. I just wouldn't. And so I don't know if that means that I have to learn to be a taker more, or I don't know. So it's a whole lot of I don't knows. Anyway, that's where I'm at on my friendship. We have run very late, but current obsession, taxes. I'm working on my taxes and I'm very grumpy about it. I'm incorporating for like tax reasons. And so it's just been my constant stress and I can't stop thinking about it. So is it a fun obsession that you should get into? No, I definitely don't recommend it. Don't ever think about taxes or government getting any money. Don't do it. It's not great. currently reading. So I'm reading that 13 things mentally strong people don't do is what it's called. Highly recommend. I'm just on the first thing, which is very good. Also, please read this book. I love it. I'm almost done. I've been losing sleep because I've been staying up late reading it. Gone Before Goodbye, Harlan Coben and Reese Witherspoon. So I hope you have a fabulous day. I hope that your friendships are a lot healthier than mine, but I hope maybe that someone out there is struggling just as much as me. I don't know. I hope not, actually, because it's not very fun. But anyway, this has been Abby's Open House, Kids Keys, Caffeinated Combos. Please give me a follow on Abby's Open House podcast and tell your friends if you want to. If not, that's okay too. And I hope that you guys all have really good friendships and that you just laugh over my crappy ones. So have a great day, everyone. And thank you so much for listening.